Hello, welcome back to Sunset Salutations. I'm Kristin Devine Jones. I'm so glad that you've taken the time today to find yourself here in the present. 30 minutes to let go of any to-do list and focus entirely on your present experience. I want to start today with an opening from 10% Happier. We began our journey with Dan Harris during the last Sunset Salutation, and we learned about him that he's struggling with anxiety. He is a war correspondent, and he has a skeptical view about the present, but one that is keenly curious. This is in a chapter called Genius or Lunatic, mostly about Eckhart Tolle. How do we do a better job of staying in the now? Tolle's answer, always say yes to the present moment. How do we achieve liberation from the voice in the head? His advice, simply be aware of it. To become free of the ego is not really a big job, but a very small one. Yes, right, easy. But if it were this uncomplicated, wouldn't there be millions of awakened people walking around? In his books, Tolle repeatedly denigrated the habit of worrying, which he characterized as a useless process of projecting fearfully into an imaginary future. There is no way that you can cope with such a situation because it doesn't exist. It's a mental phantom, he wrote. But while I understood the benefit of being in the now, the future was coming. Didn't I have to prepare? If I didn't think through every permutation of every potential problem, how the hell would I survive in a competitive industry? Furthermore, wasn't the restless ego the source of mankind's proudest achievements? Sure, it was probably responsible for ills such as war, child abuse, and Pauly Shore movies. But hadn't human striving also given us the polio vaccine, paintings, the iPhone? And yet, I was aware, of course, that my chattering mind was not entirely working in my favor. I was pretty sure that staring at my hairline or brooning on my couch was not time well spent. I used to think pressing the bruise kept me on my toes. Now I realized those moments mostly just made me unhappy. Tolle was forcing me to confront the fact that the thing I'd always thought was my greatest asset, my internal cattle prod, was also perhaps my greatest liability. I was now genuinely questioning my own personal orthodoxy, my price of security mantra, which had been my operating thesis since age 8. All of a sudden, I didn't know. Was it propulsive or corrosive? I wanted to excel, yes, but I also wanted to be less stressed in the process. This strange little German man seemed to raise the tantalizing possibility of doing both. But the books were not at all explicit, at least not in the way that I understood. So I decided I needed to meet this guy. Now we're going to jump to the moment that he does meet him for an interview. How on earth do you stop thinking? I began. How do you stop the voice in your head? I had a momentary surge of optimism as he shifted in his chair in clear preparation to give the practical advice I'd been yearning for. You create little spaces in your daily life where you are aware, but not thinking. For example, you take one conscious breath. Unbreak my heart, Eckhart. That's all you've got? But, I said, I can hear the cynics in the audience saying, this guy's saying I can awaken by taking a breath? What is he talking about? Yes, that's the mind talking. Of course, many people will have their mind commenting on what I'm saying and saying that is useless. In fact, that was exactly what my mind was saying. That is useless. My mind started saying things that were even less charitable as he rolled out his second allegedly practical suggestion. Another very powerful thing is to become aware of the inner energy field of your being. Aware that I had a camera aimed at me, I hammed it up, again using that old journalistic trick of channeling a third-party cynic who could really be no one other than me. Energy field, those are two words that when put together will fire off cynics' antennae very, very quickly. Yes, now those are people who are very quick in their mind, so they are not even willing to try out something new. I mentioned that my efforts to stay in the now had been frustrating, adding another layer of guilt on top of the normal churn of my mind. Because I'm thinking all the time, I said, I can't be in touch with the now, so now I'm feeling guilty about not being in touch with the now. Yes, as you rightly put it, that's another layer of thinking. And that layer of thinking says, you see, it doesn't work. I can't be free of thinking, which is more thinking, he said, laughing gently. So how do you break out of that? You simply observe that it's another thought. And by knowing that it's another thought, you're not totally identified with the thought. This made my heart hurt. Clearly, this line of questioning was going nowhere. Keenly aware that Tole's assistant, Anthony, had his eye on the clock, I decided to move on. Don't you ever get pissed off, annoyed, irritated, sad, anything negative? No, I accept what is. And that's why life has become so simple. Well, what if somebody cuts you off in your car? It's fine. It's like a sudden gust of wind. I don't personalize a gust of wind, and so it's simply what it is. And you're able to enjoy every moment, even if I start asking you a ton of annoying questions. Yes, that would be fine. Don't tempt me. Here he let out a real laugh from the diaphragm, leaning forward in his chair, eyes almost closed. He covered and picked right up. It's becoming friendly, just with the isness of the moment. The isness of the moment? Who was this guy kidding? Was he really saying that he was never in a bad mood, that nothing ever bothered him? How could he sit there on camera and claim that? It sounded great, of course, but so did learning how to fly. I don't fully understand that because I sometimes think about change, either innovation or social activism, like that little bit of sand in an oyster that creates the pearl. Yes, well, is it a clam or an oyster? I can't remember. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Laughing again, he continued. The most powerful change comes actually out of that different state of consciousness. This is why people so admire what Gandhi did, because he was bringing about change from a state of consciousness that was already at peace. And sometimes people believe that if you're already at peace, you're never going to do anything, but that's not the case. Very powerful actions come out of that. So you're not saying sit around, let everything wash over you, let people cut you off in your car. You're saying understand that it is what it is right now. And then do what you need to do, he said, interrupting me this time and speaking with uncharacteristic brio. Make the present moment your friend rather than your enemy, because many people live habitually as if the present moment were an obstacle that they need to overcome in order to get to the next moment. And imagine living your whole life like that, where always this moment is never quite right, not good enough because you need to get to the next one. That is continuous stress. Sitting with Tole was like watching the movie version of his books. Both in person and on the page, he moved to the total ease between tremendously useful insights and head-scratching, grandiose claims about perfect imperturbability. Essentially, I was right back where I was the first time I peered into the pages of this strange little book, fascinated, yet frustrated. Tole had opened something up for me, a window into the enfeebling clamor of the ego. But he had not answered my most pressing questions. How do you tame the voice in your head? How do you stay in the now? Was it really possible to defeat the gray Stalinism of self-absorption without ending up on a park bench? I was not about to let this drop. It was as if I'd met a man who told me my hair was on fire and then refused to offer me a fire extinguisher. What I really benefit from in that section is the reminder that transformative thoughts are powerful, but we don't need to be dependent upon the persona of the person who's had the transformative thought. If there's something of use to you from something I just read, that's what's of use. You don't need to connect it to Dan Harris or Eckhart Tolle. If there's something in that passage that you can remind yourself with to find yourself present, that's where the gold is. Let's start from there. Find yourself on your mat. I'm going to move my cushion. Great. We're going to find ourselves in figure 4. That's not what I meant. We're going to find ourselves on all fours. And you're going to take a deep breath in and reach towards the ceiling. Deep breath out and find cat pose. Good. Breathing in and breathing out. Excellent. One more breath here and breathing out. Great. From here, we're going to find our feet together. Good. And we're just going to come to sit back. Excellent. I have energy coming through my hands. I'm pulling my shoulders back and down my spine. Good. From here, I'm just going to open up my child's pose and find a little bit of a wiggle in my hip. Just moving from left to right, making sure all the while you're sending energy through the palm, through each individual finger. Good. All the way through the arm. Excellent. And pushing back into the shoulders and straightening out the spine. We're going to do that 2 more times. Pushing back into the shoulders and straightening out and through the spine. Making sure that you're keeping your weight firmly on your feet here. Deep and low. Good. And one last time. Excellent. Now, tenting your hands. Send your fingers just a little bit more forward and send your body down without relaxing fully out of the hand. Deep breath in and send the chest down towards the mat. Deep breath in, sending the chest further and lower. Good job. Making sure that your feet are still firmly feeling the body weight. Good. Great. From here, put your elbows down, cross over the elbow, and your head on top of the 2 arms here. You'll start to feel that your energy is shifting towards your trunk. Good. Take a deep breath in. And on your exhale, send your upper body even lower into the floor. Good. Deep breath in. Sending your lower back almost as if it could go through the floor. Rooted deeply into the ground. Deep breath in. Elongate. Exhale. Awesome. From here, find your arms fully in front of you. Good. Now, put your palms together and send them up over your head. You'll start to feel just a slight stretch in the tricep here. Good. Deep breath in. And on the exhale, find yourself more weighted into those elbows, more weighted into your lower body, finding yourself reaching magnetized towards the mat. Deep breath in. Good. And exhale. Excellent. And coming forward with a big arch in your back, finding a little bit of a cow shape here. Just moving the hips all the way around in a circle, finding mobility here, and reverse, opposite way around. Good. Finding your right elbow at the center of the mat, reach up towards the ceiling, and good. Finding that hand back and underneath. If you can reach your thigh here, let me pull this up. Good. So I'm trying to come around. Can you see my hand? Good. Trying to reach for that thigh. Deep breath in. And really twisting. Excellent. Finding my other elbow touching. Good. And shooting all the way up towards the sky. Awesome. And coming to reach behind. Good. Continuing to twist and extend. Deep breath in, elongate the spine. Exhale, twist more. Good. Deep breath in. Keep extending through the spine. Good. And exhale, twist to open. Awesome. Coming up and over. Great. I'm just going to send my energy back and forth here. Keeping my hands in prayer. And my elbows just separated. Very narrow here. Great. Excellent. All the way back here. Finding my head against the mat and sending my arm up. Good. And other side. Finding my head against the mat. Good. And arm up. Excellent. Beautiful twist to get our alignment ready to go to take our seat. I'm going to put my cushion here. And it's okay to take a few seconds to really get yourself comfortable. I find sometimes that I pull my knees in because I think this is optimal. Then I find that I run out of blood flow to my feet by the end. So make sure that you're really finding the best possible posture for you today. Deep breath in, extending through the spine, feeling the top of the head lifting towards the ceiling with ease, without tension, no muscularity necessary. Deep breath out. Find yourself deep and grounded, utilizing your sit bones here. Deep breath in. And exhale. Release any tension. Slowly allow your eyes to close. Beautiful. Taking a moment to remember that breathing is not an activity. It's your body's nature. Shift your focus from doing breathing to noticing breath. Feel the expanse of the inhale, the release of the exhale. If you find it helpful to utilize a mantra, try breathing in, I am full. Breathing out, I am enough. Deep breath in, I am full. Deep breath out, I am enough. If you notice yourself holding or squeezing, stop resisting. Instead, focus your energy on noticing. If you find your mind wandering, without judgment, notice it and let it go. Re-anchor yourself to the full experience of each inhalation and each exhalation. Breathing in and out. Just for a minute, unanchor yourself from the focus on the breath and allow the mind to wander. Think whatever thoughts it wants. Breathing in and breathing out as the mind goes about. When you're ready, shift your focus from mind to body to full consciousness. Notice the temperature in the room. Feel the cushion below your seat. Notice the feel of your hands atop your knee and the knee beneath your hands. When you feel ready, wiggle your feeling. When you feel ready, wiggle your fingers and toes. Maybe give your shoulders a nice stretch and release. Good. This is a time that I really love to lay down, perhaps on my side, rest, and restore. Recently, I've been finding mindfulness a raft of sorts for me. These are tumultuous times. Things are consistently changing. which means that we have to adapt. In general, we are hardwired to resist this change. It creates and enables different tensions. But when I remember my practice and the value of now, the value of the focus on the present, and the impermanence of all that's around me, knowing with great certainty that where I am now will not be where I am in the future, I find this to be very calming during a time when I'm finding many of the people in my life slightly unhinged. I found it really helpful to offer any sympathy, any empathy, any kindness, any generosity that they inspire within me. But also to remember the phantom discussed by Tolle, and that to harbor, take on, or multiply the worries that they want to share will do neither of us any good. I'm not allowing myself to pass through this situation, as well as any others that are sure to face me soon, is the best anyone can ask for me, or that I could ask for myself. And to find peace with that is such a benefit, and is direct derivative of mindfulness. I feel so lucky to have you join me through this journey. Thank you so much. This has been Sunset Salutations, and I'm Kristin Devine.